Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Earlier this week, I saw a tweet that really got me thinking, a topic that I have honestly thought of extensively on my own. And as you can see, the tweet here reads, after the hype of the non-spoiled Budokai Tenkaichi 4, can we agree that data miners and leakers are lame AF? Dokkan and Legends would be so much better without them. My thoughts on the matter?
Yes, but actually no.
That's it. That's the video. Thanks for coming by. For real though, I think this is definitely an interesting topic. Would Dokkan Battle be better without the leakers and data miners giving us early information? As a data miner myself, I've actually thought about this topic quite a lot. And in context to the entirety of this tweet, I do 100% agree. I think the release and the trailer was a lot more hype for Budokai Tenkaichi 4, considering the fact that nothing about it was leaked. We had no idea that this game was going to be coming, right? Nobody knew anything related to this game. I did see a little bit of information floating around that apparently the Budokai Tenkaichi copyright for the trademark did just get renewed recently, but then again, companies also renew their trademarks all the time for their different properties, so that way people can't use them, or obviously if they're going to re-release a collection of games or something like that. So I'm not really going to count that for the sake of this, and besides, that's not really a full leak. That's obviously not somebody coming out with the full information of, you know, what's going to be in the game or the trailer or something like that with insider information and just showing it to the public, right? And for this video specifically, of course, this being a Dokkan Battle channel, we're going to be talking about the Dokkan Battle related side of things. I could make an entire other video talking about the Legends aspect of things, because honestly, I think with data miners and leakers, they kind of bring something different to the table with both Dokkan and Legends, but we will save that for another time, maybe. Before we get into my full thoughts on the matter, I think it is important to make a jurisdiction between the two aspects at play here, data miners and leakers, because there is definitely a lot of differences between the two, and the two can definitely have some crossover to them, but I want to explain to you the differences so not only you, the viewer, are aware of what we're talking about, but obviously when it comes to this sort of thing, I think it's important to know the jurisdiction, because some of the reasoning for why I feel the way that I do about certain things in this is definitely going to need the context of the difference between data miners and leakers and some of the similarities between them. Let's kick it off with talking about data miners. Data miners are people who get information from the game's code and files and show the information to the public. A good example of this is myself. Obviously, I post the assets from brand new data downloads onto Twitter for everybody to see, whether it be the animations for super attacks, the pieces that make those up, whether it be the medals to awaken brand new Dokkan Fest characters, whether it be the assets that appear in the story sections of different events in the game. Whatever it may be, I take the files from the game's data and post it for you to see as well. Of course, there's also more intricate data that people post, such as informations from the game's code, obviously things from different tables in the game, right, regarding different numbers and information, that sort of thing. Obviously, with data miners, right, we can also see the kits of units early if they have not been announced by official means yet, right, possibly then being able to translate them into English, as obviously it is a character that is only on the Japanese version. And data mining also allows us to have access to information that we would normally not have when talking about regards to what's actually in the game. For one, you actually can see what the rates of a gacha game are. Obviously, with this game being something related to, well, you know, I hate to use this word at all, but gambling, it's important to make sure that these companies obviously aren't trying to deceive you by showing the incorrect rates on banners when you're trying to summon for characters. Obviously, data mining is a great way for the consumer to keep these companies in check and make sure they're keeping their word with the proper numbers that are displayed in the game. As well, data mining also allows us to have websites like the Dokkan Wiki and Dokkan Info. By being able to data mine information from the game, game, we are able to get websites like these that allow us to see information that we normally wouldn't either be able to see in game or have a easier way to access the information that is in game by just having it on a website that you can access without actually having to go into the game. All of this information would be nearly impossible without data mining. Obviously, of course, in terms of characters' passives and how many medals you need to awaken for a character and what items do and that sort of thing, of course you could read the in-game description, but when it comes to the intricacies of Dokkan Battle, obviously these are only things that can be accomplished with data mining. Next up, let's talk about leaks. Leaks can come in many different forms, but the type of leaks that we are referring to in this context is, of course, people on the internet who have some kind of insider information in regards to what's going on with the game or what is coming up in the game, and giving us the information before it is shared by the official sources, right? Whether this be on Twitter in the form of a GIF to give us a hint as to what's to come, whether that be posting screenshots or sharing things from upcoming pieces of promotional media regarding Dokkan Battle. These are all pieces of information that are obtained by people who know something that the general user does not, that have some kind of special insider information as to what's going on inside Dokkan Battle. These leaks can extend all the way from just these little hints and screenshots to entire unit kits. This is definitely not something that happens a ton, but when it comes to big leaks, the one that I recall the most is, of course, the worldwide celebration featuring AGL Gohan and Int Perfect Cell. Dokkanner, a Twitter user at the time, was popular for his Dokkan Battle leaks and actually leaked out the entire kits for Gohan and Cell at the time before their information was even in the game, which is kind of crazy looking back, considering that that was basically the one and only time, at least that I can certainly recall, that that sort of thing happened. Because obviously when it comes to, you know, getting the actual kits of units, we either get them shown on Twitter or see them through the data mines when they're actually put into the game's files. This was pretty wild because this was just the entire unit before we had seen anything in regards to it. It was pretty crazy back in the day. It's crazy too. Dokkan data mines have actually been around for a long time, at least as far as I'm aware. The first instance that I know is the boy Hato-sama, a very old, at this point, kind of crazy to say considering 2017 didn't really seem that long ago, but it's actually 6 years ago at the time of the recording of this video, was when my man was prevalent in terms of the Dokkan data mining scene. I remember specifically for Fizz Gotenks, Hato-sama posted the art of this guy before any of the official sources showed it, and I remember me and my buddy Abel were actually super hype about this because we were in New York at the time taking a little bit of a vacation after graduating. Needless to say, we were super excited, literally sitting in New York City seeing this brand new Gotenks being shown on Twitter. Obviously, you know, being able to sort of get this insider information, it was crazy. I was even able to find the exact tweet where Hato-sama talked about the fact that the Dragon Ball Heroes Teen Gotenks that had just come out a little bit before Fizz Gotenks' release was going to be awakening with his medals, and Abel's tweet is right there. Unfortunately, you can see by the images on these tweets that Hato-sama was actually hit by the big bad copyright a number of years ago, unfortunately rendering his tweets El Zippo. Anytime you go back and try and look at some tweets that have been hit by this sort of thing on a Twitter account, it basically just shows up with this placeholder image. So you can't exactly see the original image that is there, unfortunately, but these are indeed the tweets that line up with the time frame that Gotenks would have been being shown. And obviously my friend's tweet that he literally made sitting next to me, sitting on the specific red stairs in New York. I don't know know why I remember this so vividly, is a pretty cool memory. But nonetheless, obviously, data mines have been a part of the community, even though they were definitely not as prevalent at that time because, of course, not as many people knew about them, have still been around for quite some time. Now, let's talk about the crossover that data mines and leaks have. Obviously, when it comes to this sort of thing, both of these words are kind of used interchangeably sometimes, and there is a reason for that. Obviously, I wanted to give you the specific differences between the two and the specifics of them to help you better understand each of these words and their meaning. However, a lot of the time, there are cases where data mines can be leaks. If the information has not officially been shown in game yet, or we know maybe a teaser of what's up to come, and Dokkan decides to give us a data download before the official presentation of the information. Looking at you, 6th anniversary! Sometimes then we can consider data mines leaks, as of course the information that was going to be shown by the official sources and has not yet been shown gets shown to the public by these data mines, right? Obviously, when that is sort of the case, then of course, that technically then also falls under a leak. Now, obviously, when it comes to the leaks, right, there's not really a case where a leak is a data mine, but a data mine can be a leak. I kind of just said the same thing twice, but I think you understand what I'm getting at. And that can be a little bit of a gray area for some people, because some people want to see data mines, and some people don't want to see leaks, or some people don't really mind seeing either. But obviously, when it comes to data miners, they basically just post whatever is in the game's data. But a lot of the time when it comes to these specific instances, which don't happen too much anymore, Dokkan has definitely gotten a lot better about this in recent time. We do try and tend to let the public know, hey, this is something that is going to be shown in a little bit by the official means, right? Definitely just, hop off Twitter for a little bit, or just kind of unfollow us for the time being if you don't want to see this kind of information. Oh, and one last thing regarding leaks. I know a lot of the time we refer to V-jump scans as leaks. I think this is a little bit of a misconception because it's technically true, but not actually true. When we're saying V-jump leaks, we're more so referring to the V-jump images itself being a leak, rather than the information that is on the pages of V-jump being a leak for Dokkan Battle. Of course, the information that is in that month's issue of V-jump is meant for the public to see, right? Obviously, then Bandai Namco and Akatsuki, the creators and makers of Dokkan Battle, would not be putting the information out there for the public to see in a magazine that anyone could buy, of course. But when we talk about V-jump leaks, this is most of the time referring to the fact that somebody was able to get the magazine early before the usual street date that most businesses would have to abide by, and obviously then the image of that page leaks online. Just kind of wanted to clarify that because I know that can be kind of a gray area. So with all of that explanation, how do I feel, right? Do I think that data mines and leaks are bad for Dokkan? Well,
good guess, but actually no.
Again, to reiterate, sort of yes and no at the same time, right? Of course, when it comes to information being shared early from places that are not only just not the official source, but obviously sort of spoiler territory, right? I completely understand the fact that people would not want to be subject to that information before seeing it either in-game or by the official sources. I mean, obviously that makes 100% sense. Nobody wants to be spoiled to anything because, a lot of the time things are a lot more enjoyable when it comes to, spoilers, right? Obviously, if you don't know what's going to happen in something, it's a lot more exciting and a lot more surprising and a lot of the times a more enjoyable experience, right? I mean, heck, even the entirety of the Dragon Ball Super superhero movies plot was basically leaked onto Twitter before the movie even came out. And I know that was frustrating for a lot of people, right? Including myself. And obviously, when it comes to these sort of things, I understand that the position I'm in, being sort of a quote-unquote bigger person in the Dragon Ball community, I mean, despite the fact that I have almost 50,000 followers, in all things considered, I'm really not that big in the grand scheme of things. But of course, being one of these people that follows all these different kind of sources for this sort of thing, right? I'm bound to see it. So I'm already kind of I've already accepted my fate, basically, when it comes to leaks, right? I'm going to see it whether I like it or not. But when it comes to, obviously, the general user, it's completely understandable, right? And especially if you're something that you're looking forward to, you know, brand new property, a brand new project from your favorite show, of course it's disappointing to see all these crazy spoilers, because then for a lot of people, it's like, well, what's the point of going to see the film if you already know everything that's going to happen in it? Granted, for me personally, I know, even though I knew the basic plot points of the movie, I've still seen the movie about 5 or 6 times at this point, so I really enjoyed myself regardless. But I'm sure that the experience would have definitely been a lot different for the first time watching if I wouldn't have known all of these crazy things that happen in the movie. Spoilers, I guess, if you haven't seen Superhero somehow until this point. Skip to this point in the video. It'll literally just be like a couple of seconds of me listing off spoilers. But if you don't want to hear them, skip to this point in the video. Go watch the movie if you haven't yet. Anyway, obviously, right, the addition of Gohan Beast, Orange Piccolo, Gamma 2's death, right? All of these different major plot points that were a part of the movie obviously then ruin the experience for a lot of people when it comes to these big spoilers. So let's talk Dokkan. When it comes to data mines specifically, right? This one is a little bit of a gray area depending on the timing, right? If we're talking about your normal data download, right, where you get the information and most of the time the unit has already been shown on Twitter, the super text, the card art are there, right, and the data miners are just posting the assets from the data download or different pieces of information from the data download, different math, different calculations about the unit, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, I think that's completely fine. Not only is it cool to see the ins and outs and the inner workings of Dokkan Battle, but by that point, it's like, okay, so either you're going to see the PNG of this EZA medal in the game, or you're going to see it on Twitter, right? Obviously, when it comes to that sort of basic thing, I don't really think that it's that big of a deal. When it comes to, obviously, data mines then kind of transitioning into leaks because the official companies have not shared the information yet, then obviously that's a lot more understandable when it comes to spoilers, right? Of course, you want to see it in its official means and the official way, you know, that you're technically supposed to consume, you know, whatever piece of information is being shared, right? Now, obviously, when it comes to that sort of thing, though, if you are following these data miners, you should have some expectation that you do have the possibility to see that sort of information, because even though those sorts of things are rare and few in between when data mines sort of become leaks, there is always the possibility of it. So if you are following these data miners, right, just unfollow them, right? If that type of thing really bothers you that much, and yes, I'm saying that about me, that is completely fine if you feel that way. If that's the necessary step that you need to take to not get spoiled about something, then go right ahead, right? Obviously, if you value the information that much, then that's what you got to do, right? When it comes to that sort of thing. Now, obviously, though, that sort of goes into leaks, right? And there's another aspect that I'll talk about when it comes to just unfollowing these people or not interacting with them in a second, because I think it's important to talk about the leak aspect of this first. Obviously, when it comes to leaks that are just straight up insider information, in whatever form they may be, right? Obviously, I understand that that's a little bit different, right? A lot of the times, these type of leaks have not been announced by any official means. Sometimes they are just a teaser, sometimes it's just straight up card art, and obviously, for a lot of people, this sort of thing is exciting because it gets people talking and it gets the community drumming up different theories and, trying to speculate as to what's to come into the game. And in terms of that, I think that is completely healthy for the game, right? Obviously, the more a game is talked about, the more that it grows and the more of an audience that it receives, right? Obviously, speculation for any game is super healthy because when it comes to the game, that's people discussing and enjoying your game without even playing it, right? Without even knowing what's going to come, It's basically just people taking a guess at what they think might be, what else will come with just the bare information that we know. However, obviously, I know for some people it's a little bit disappointing because not only do they just wish to see it through the official means, but in another regard, sometimes leaks can kind of be skewed, right? Where people then see a leak and they may expect something or don't expect something, right, to come because of the minimal information that they know, and then their expectations may kind of be shattered a little bit because of the fact that they expected something because they had this one piece of information and that didn't end up happening. Obviously, that's sort of more due to the individual user on their own, but that is definitely something to mention when it comes to these leaks. And obviously, the misconstruing of information when it comes to leaks is already kind of a problem, right? Because then, when you have a leak that people assume they, know all of the information behind it, and the way that it's presented kind of makes it seem like a certain way, right? Then when the actual information comes out and people realize that all of the assumptions are wrong, then it just kind of creates some discourse in the community, and that is never good. Now, going back to my original point about if you don't want to see this type of thing, right, when it comes to data mines becoming leaks, then just unfollow the data miners. When it comes to the leaks themselves, right, with these people who share insider information about the game, right? Obviously, it's a lot harder for me to just say that, right? And it's definitely not a fair thing to say, oh, just unfollow them, right? Because I'm sure that if you are a person that really values this kind of thing in the first place, you're probably not following them, if I had to venture a guess, right? And of course, when it comes to that sort of thing, then you are kind of subject to the internet game, right? Whether it be leaks from the game's files or teasers that are not yet announced by the game, people retweet stuff, people discuss stuff, right? That's just kind of how it goes when it comes to being a member of this community, right? And I understand for some people that may be frustrating, but unfortunately, right, it is just the reality of the situation, right? And in that regard, right, obviously, if you really want to, you can just go on a blocking spree, right? You could just kind of, pull a Hideki Kamiya and block everybody under the sun if you really don't want to see that sort of thing. But, that's just kind of the nature of the internet. Information spreads like wildfire. To kind of wrap up my thoughts here, to give you the conclusive answer of whether or not I think that leaks and data mines are good or bad for Dokkan, I think that truly the answer is it kind of just depends on the context, right? When it comes to these data mines that provide helpful information about the game, whether it be just the game's assets or pieces of information that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see without data mines being at your disposal, obviously I think that sort of thing is good. And not only is it cool for the user to see the back end of the game, but it's also very helpful in the user's decisions to make within the game itself to have this information at their disposal, especially when it comes to a game like this where the potential of spending money and the potential of spending a lot of money is right there, right? Obviously, that is another thing to even consider too, right? This could help with financial decisions, as weird as that kind of sounds to say in reference to Dokkan Battle, right? But when it comes to leaks themselves, I think that one is a bit of a toss-up, right? When it comes to general leaks, which I guess we'll just kind of put teasers and whatnot in that kind of category, personally, I don't really think that those are bad. Obviously, I completely understand if you disagree. And of course, all of this is just my opinion when it comes to, are they good or bad for the game, right? But when it comes to those, I don't think that they're bad necessarily, because in the end, usually it just ends up drumming up conversation and speculation, which of course for any game is healthy. But when it comes to leaks that are just flat out the entire information of something that has yet to be shared by official sources, then I think that's kind of where we get into a little bit of the, I don't know. I feel like that is definitely a little bit unhealthy when it comes to the game, because of course you want the official source to be the one to share the information that they are going to share, right? Obviously, if it's something like something we can only see with data mines, then of course, right, that's the way to go, and that's how we find out that information. But of course, if it's units' entire kits that are basically shown off before the official source kind of, gives you the grand display of how they wanted to share it to the audience and share it to the player base, then I kind of think that that's not so good, right? Not only do these companies want to have the players experience whatever it is they have in store in the way that they have it formatted, but obviously it is usually a lot more exciting to experience it that way rather than just somebody on Twitter giving you a paragraph of the information, right? I think that there is a little bit of a clear distinction in that for me, right? When it comes to what specifically you are referencing when it comes to, do I feel if they are good or bad? Ironically enough, I actually recorded this video last week before we got the leaks for Saiyan Days Super Saiyan God Goku, of course originally being based off of that tweet that is now deleted. But what's funny about this video kind of being recorded prior to God Goku was that once all of these shenanigans with the God Goku leaks happened, a lot of the people in the community expressed their distaste for leaks, which was kind of funny because I don't really think I've ever seen a community outcry like this before, speaking out against Dokkan leaks, and especially considering how long we've had leaks, as a big part of the Dokkan community and reveals and whatnot like that. It's just kind of interesting to me that people decided to, start talking about their sort of distaste and dislike for the fact that a lot of Dokkan characters are kind of shown off early, so to speak, through leaks. This, of course, ended with two of the most prominent leakers in the community right now, iSeriously and Maverick, to actually decide to step away from doing leaks for the Dokkan community because of the community outcry. It is kind of funny to me because this has never really been a problem before, seemingly until now. I'm not sure why people just decided that now was the time to talk out about leaks. It was just kind of interesting to me that we've had it for so long, and for some reason this was the time that, the straw broke the camel's back, so to speak. But of course, I want to thank these two for everything that they have done for the community. And I wanted to mention, as just kind of a final sort of point to wrap up this video, is it's something that I did see a lot of the different leakers talk about when all of this was going on, when the Dokkan community was speaking out about leaks, is that a lot of the communication from Dokkan itself, right, from Akatsuki and Bandai to the player base was severely lacking, right, until kind of recently, to be honest with you, right? Like the last couple of years, the communication from Bandai has really improved. And back in the day, right, there was really not a lot of communication from the people on top to us, the player base, about information and what was coming up into Dokkan. So I know a lot of the leakers felt like that they were really the ones who were sort of picking up the slack on that and giving a lot of information to the community. That was something that I definitely wanted to include in this video. Since I was kind of sharing my personal thoughts on the matter, It wasn't really something that I kind of thought about a lot when thinking about this topic to myself, but I definitely think it's something that is worth including in this video for sure, because I think it is certainly something important to note that leaks were a lot more important for that purpose during that time, when obviously now the communication from Bandai has improved a lot. It's definitely not perfect, of course, anything can be better, but I definitely think that that is something that is important to note, all things considered. But I would definitely love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Please let me know what you think of everything that we discussed in this video. Do you feel that data mines are bad for Dokkan? Do you feel that leaks are bad for Dokkan? Do you feel that they're good and healthy for the game? Let me know everything that you feel in the comment section below. I really wanted to make this video because this is a topic that I have sort of had on my mind for quite some time now. It's something that I've thought a lot about myself, considering the fact that I am a data miner myself, right? Obviously being one to post this information and sometimes accidentally becoming a leaker, right? It's just something that I've kind of thought about the logistics of how I feel about it quite a bit. So it's something that I wanted to share with all of you, and of course it will be interesting to hear what all of you have to say in the comment section below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciated it. Please let me know if you enjoyed this video. I would love to do more videos kind of giving my thoughts on different Dokkan Battle topics like this in the future, so definitely your support, like, subscribe, all that funny YouTube stuff will definitely let me know if you want to see more of this. Thank you so much for watching, and without further ado, Dokkan Assets out. Peace.